Hello and welcome to this instalment of Talkin Trim. I'm Jonathon Skinner and today we're looking at the carpet flooring kit for the MGA Roadster and MGA Coupe models. Also in this video I'm going to give you a bit of an overview of the spare wheel cover situated behind the seats and also some hardware options that you may wish to consider getting at the same time as your carpet set. Now it's worth noting that the majority of the carpet sets were supplied as per this, which is what we refer to as the full carpet set. However, some cars did leave with exposed bodywork on the sort of rear shelf battery area and rear bulkhead and wheel arches. So effectively these two pieces, and these two pieces. So from our records, it suggests that some of the Roadsters did not have carpet in that area and were just exposed bodywork. But the majority of the cars left with everything carpeted as per this kit here. Of course, if you do want us to supply you with a carpet set minus those pieces there, then just let us know. That's not a problem at all. This particular kit has been done in camel wool, wool being our premium automotive carpet material. We can also offer in nylon or Karvel. Nylon, generally speaking, we don't really recommend using for the main cockpit cabin area. Compared to wool, it's chalk and cheese. Wool is superior in quality, durability and overall finish, and it's actually got a much wider colour palette on it as well. Karvel was originally what was used on some of the MGAs, but you're very restricted on colours. Just to show you, Karvel's quite a unique material as well because it's got a Hessian backing to it. It's got you can just about make out a very subtle rib section in it there, but there's only a few colours available. I think you can get black, dark blue, red and grey. Now it's worth noting at this stage that MGAs were not particularly creative when it comes to the colours of their carpets. They were very restricted. A lot of them just left with black carpets, but we can obviously offer a very wide range of colours. But we do recommend you go with the wool for most restorations. It is superior in so many ways. Now it's worth noting the wool we use is very premium. We've used it for decades now. It's the same stuff we use for our Jaguar restorations. And a good way of telling how good a carpet is to lightly bend it, or rather aggressively bend it really. And it's how much of the backing shows through. The backing on this is a nice rubber backing as well. But as you can see, not much of it shows through, and that's because it's very densely packed. Whereas if you compare samples of other nylons out there especially, but also some of the other wool manufacturers out there, you can see the backing and it's really not nice. We know a few of the companies use this alternative wool, but we do strongly recommend you get samples from us and do that kind of test, because you do see the massive difference in the raw material quality. Same with the nylon. The nylon we use is the best automotive nylon you can get, but unfortunately it just does not stack up to the wool. So we'd really strongly recommend you get wool, or potentially the Karvel if you want to go down the original route, but with colour restrictions on that one. So bear that in mind. So yeah, this is the carpet set. Now this carpet set is sold as a set. The spare wheel cover is sold completely separately, and this video will not include anything related to the boot trunk area. Do see my other video for that section there. But what I want to do is go through as much of this carpet set fairly individually as possible. So let me just grab my reference book and I'll make my way to the front. Now this, like I said, has been done in camel wool and it's been edged in parchment. Now the parchment edging is to tie in with the main trim that the customer's gone for. He's gone for a full leather parchment kit, so all the seats are full leather, even the panels are leather, etc. So that's to match up with his main trim. Obviously, if you were going for a slightly different coloured main trim, we could alter the edging to tie in with that, or if you just wanted the carpets to tie in with the edging, we can just do whatever closely matches camel wool in this regard, then we can edge it in that. But these are the little sort of differences that we go to that make us stand out as a business. Now it's worth noting with the edging, as with all of our carpets, they are done in leather cloth. Leather cloth, also known as vinide or Rexon, is the original material used by all of the sort of main manufacturers of the 50s, 60s, 70s for edging carpets and for piping seats, etc. And it's by far and away the best material to use for it. A lot of other companies out there use vinyl to edge their carpets, which makes everything a bit bulkier and a bit more wrinkly. I am doing a blog post and a video showing the differences between vinyl edging and leather cloth edging, but again, it's these little touches that put us ahead in the market, along with obviously our superior templating and overall quality and workmanship. So edging done in leather cloth as per original specification. Now, worth noting that originally the MGA's left with barely any edging on the carpets. I've actually done another video which you can link to at the end of this one, which does show the exact original specification for the edging of the MGAs, and that was a cost-saving exercise, and also an exercise in making sure that a generically cut piece of carpet can fit a rather inconsistently made production line of cars. Whereas we've kind of countered that. We edge carpets where it makes logical sense to edge carpets, and the general rule of thumb on that is any carpet that has a raw edge on it, i.e. not bound, is not on show when everything is said and done. It's either going to be tucked underneath an adjacent panel or tucked underneath an adjacent piece of carpet which is edged. Great example of that is the sill covers here. None of the bits are edged on it, but the top part is going to be underneath, say, the door panels, etc., and the bottom part is tucked underneath the front and rear floor carpets, which are edged, so therefore no raw edges on show. Same concept again on a lot of the gearbox sides. Some of the gearbox edges are edged, but the sides generally are not, and again that means that they are tucking underneath the front and rear floor carpets, and so everything ties in nicely. That works well, especially with the updates that we've done in terms of unbound edges. We tend to make them slightly wider than they need to be, and that's done intentionally to allow the flow in between the carpets to work very nicely. It helps in the fitment process. It helps weigh certain carpets down because they're tucked underneath the weight of the adjacent carpet, which then have fixings in place, etc. But also it means that we're covering our bases in terms of the idiosyncrasies and inconsistencies of the original factory production line in terms of the slight changes in shapes and whatnot in the actual bodywork of the cars. And again, this is one of the main reasons that we're renowned in the industry for best fitting kits, etc., is this level of attention to detail and the subtle changes that we've made, keeping most things as original to the eye, but actually these subtle changes really help people get the best results from restoration, so just bear that in mind. Anyway, let's start at the front. I'll just work my way around. So you've got these sort of sections here, and they're all related up into the sort of footwell areas of the car there, right up in the footwells there. Lots of different shapes effectively that go on the side and the top, side sections there. And it's worth, if you are unsure, do get in contact, because I've got some great photos that illustrate exactly where each of these parts go. Unfortunately, none of these photos are really going to see it. They're all up there, basically. So that's those bits there. Now, it's worth noting this square here is actually best positioned there, which is the crossmember section of them. A lot of the cars actually had exposed bodywork, paint bodywork on the cross section. Some of them were chromed out. But we do supply as standard a piece of carpet for both sides that you can use to trim that section if you so choose. But the other bits here are all situated up into the footwell areas of the car. Then if we work our way down the gearbox, you have the front section of the gearbox there, which has the pre-sewn flap and popper for presumably the gearbox inspection oil level area. Now we put the popper in, so it's all functional as a flap, but we do not pre-cut the hole, and we do that intentionally. Everything like that is best done during the actual fitment to your car. So a lot of these bits and bobs, some people might see as us taking shortcuts. It's not. It's us knowing how these cars best go together, and the process of fitting these things and how organic the fitment process is. And so we don't take any chance with those sorts of things, and we leave them unintentionally cut out, because it's very easy to do at your end when you know the exact position. You then have this section here, which is obviously where the gear stick comes out. So here, which is sewn, you can see the sewn darts in the piece of carpet there. So that's where the gear stick comes out. Again, we do not pre-cut the gear stick. That is best done during the fitment process. Then you have the prop shaft section at the back there, which is the back part of the gearbox tunnel. If we stay roughly in this area here, we're going to talk about the front floors now. So you get a pair of front floors. They are edged all the way round. They have heel pads on them, and they have the cutaways there for the cross members, and they're effectively a pair. They're not exact mirror images of one another. You can see that that side's slightly thinner than this side here, but there is no difference between right-hand drive and left-hand drive in that regard, so just bear that in mind. Now, heel pad wise, you have some choices. These have the rubber heel pads with the MG logo in the middle of them, which is by far and away the most popular choice that we offer. But these are your options here. That's the wrong way around. So that's the MG one that is on this one here. These ones here, which are slightly smaller, this is actually the original version used by MG back in the day. So that's the other option there. And then we also offer a very basic, just ribbed option there if you wanted to go down that route as well. So do see our website for details on that, but generally speaking, most people go with the MG one. A few people go with that, and we barely do any of the basic ribbed one, but there is a price difference, so bear that in mind when you're coming to order. And it's also worth noting on heel pads that generally speaking they were just on the driver's side, but as standard we tend to do them on both front floors because it makes logical sense to. It's much like we do with our binding. We take a bit of a common sense approach, but if you want us to just do it on the driver's side, not a problem, just let us know. So they're the front floors. You then have the sill carpets, which effectively run from front to back in the cars. They have the slight cutaway there, which is for the cross member section there on the A-post, I believe, where it came down. No binding on them, as explained earlier. That allows for tucking underneath the sort of door panels, etc., and also the front and rear floor carpets. Moving slightly further back on the car. Oh, actually, sorry, just on the front floors. Obviously, again, cutaways for throttle pedals and other areas on the front floors. We don't accommodate for those, again, for the pure reason that it's best done in situ. What we do is we do back tack on the front floors, which allows you to basically make a cut without any of it fraying away, so that you can do the custom cut in the particular area that you want. And again, this is all down to our experience in this field, that knowing that these things are best done in situation of the car when fitting. Otherwise, if it's slightly different for whatever reason, it can throw the whole front floor out. And again, it's one of those things we've learned over the course of time working with very high-end restorers of MGAs, that is the better approach to do. Of course, if you want us to work with you in terms of getting specific position of your front floor carpets and edging on them, that's not a problem at all. We're happy to work with people on an ad hoc basis on that, in that regard, whether you send us a template or we send you the Unbound carpet first in the post in terms of the front floor. You mark on the position that it's going to be exactly then posted back to us, and we bind it for you. We've done that tons for people as well, so we are flexible in that regard. But as standard, we always recommend going down the route of not pre-cutting anything, just to make sure it fits your car, so bear that in mind. Next, rear floor carpets, pair of them, bound all the way around apart from on the front edge there, which gets over ridden by the front floor rear edge anyway on that. Then you get this lower bulkhead section which runs front to back on the car. There we are. It's this section here just behind the seats, and that is where in theory the rarely seen Roadsters that didn't have a battery shelf carpeted area, that's where that carpet set ends, is effectively everything in your frame at the moment. Then we go on to effectively the pieces that make up that rear shelf area behind the seats. So just to remind you, we're talking about this sort of section here, so ignore the spare wheel, we'll deal with that separately. We're talking about the rear shelf, which is effectively a battery box underneath there. Then you've got the sort of side wheel arch bits, and then the rear bulkhead. So pretty obvious, the battery shelf there, and it has pre-sewn vinyl on the front of it there, which we've just tucked around just with tape for the sake of this video to keep it nice and neat. But that tucks around the metal lip. The rest of it is bound. Then you get two-piece wheel arches on both sides. Again, much like those front pieces there. If you're unsure, it's a bit of a complex jigsaw puzzle unless you've got something to go by. So just let us know. I've got some good photos that show exactly how they go in the car. But they're ever so slightly oversized, because if you haven't got any edging on them, they're oversized to allow you to get better fitment, and then you can just subtly trim them down exactly what you need. But there's not much work involved in that at all. Then you've got the rear bulkhead section here, which obviously goes from front to back and normally has the cutout in the middle of it for the spare wheel cover. Again, we do not pre-cut that, always best done in situ to the car. So that's effectively the carpet set there. Only thing to say before I go on to the spare wheel is we can also offer front floor overmats. So these are literally overmats that sit over the top of your front floor carpets. You've got two options. You've got the rubber with the MG logo in them, or you've got a plush black nylon with a coloured MG logo on them. So we can offer both of those. They're both sold separately to the carpet set, so bear that in mind. Also, with regard to the carpet set, you may wish to consider at the same time fixings, and they are the fixings. So this piece gets pierced through carpet, that gets tucked onto the underside, and these get bent round, and that becomes the element of the carpet side of the fixing. And then you pop rivet these parts onto the bodywork of the car, so that slots through there and pop rivets on. And then when that's in place, that'll obviously pop down onto it and fix it in place. So we do carpet fixing kits, again sold separately to the carpet set, so bear that in mind. And of course, if you want some guidance on how they work or the exact positions of them, just let us know. In addition to that, you may wish to consider our undercarpet natural jute felt kit. So effectively, it's 1950s, 60s, 70s style sound and heat proof kit. It is a natural jute felt. It's got a black coating on one side which faces up towards the sky when everything's said and done in the car. But common question, obviously a lot of people fit their modern day Dynamats or Dodo matting, lots of brands out there, but the modern day heat and sound shields, this is not comparable in any way, shape or form. I'm not going to try and sell you on that. If you're going down the modern route, and I would highly recommend it because it's great, I've got it in my car, do that. But bear in mind, they offer different grades, so they offer different thicknesses. You want to make sure that you've got underneath your carpets anywhere between 5 and 10 millimeters to ensure that the fitment underneath the carpet is correct. Basically, you've got to remember that these carpets have been templated to have a certain thickness underneath, and that's crucial in certain areas, especially on, say, the front floors where they start arching up onto the toe board firewall areas. So it's worth noting that some of the really high-end sort of Dynamat stuff, which I've got in my car, it basically goes down to nothing when you actually put it in the car, in which case you are going to want to have a natural jute felt. It's not going to offer anything more in terms of sound and heat proofing, but it will offer good placement and fitment within the car, but also gives you a nice soft underfoot feel as well, so bear that in mind. Again, sold separately. I've gone over the Karvel. That's obviously Karvel, which is one of the original options for MGAs. So that's effectively the carpet set and the other bits that you might want to consider with the carpet set. And in the same tune as that, we've got the spare wheel cover. So the spare wheel cover, obviously situated behind the seats and went semi into the boot trunk area of the cars. And there are different options. I don't think we're going to get any more photos. Not sure we've got any in the boot. Not showing the bit that we want. But either way, you had different options. Oh yeah, there we are, perfect. See boot trunk area there. So it's a sewn cover, and we can offer it in a variety of things. This version here is full wool one, so it's literally to match the carpet set there, and that is by far and away our kind of best seller with people doing high-end restorations, is to match everything up in wool. But originally they seem to be mostly in a grey, either Hardura or Armorcord material, very much a subject of debate. Hardura and Armorcord are the same material, only one has a very obvious rib effect to it and the other one is a lot smoother but still has a grain effect to it. We can offer both. We tend to mention on our website Hardura, but it's a terminology thing, so don't get caught up in that. We can offer both. So again, at the point of ordering, just specify if you want the ribbed version or not, if you want to go down that route. Then it tended to be a mix, so it was a grey Hardura, I'm just going to refer to it as, mixed in with a carpet. Now this happens to be nylon carpet, this is what the customers requested, but obviously that carpet in theory should tie in roughly with what you're doing in the car if you're going down that route, at least in terms of the material, not necessarily the quality of material, but completely up to you. Generally speaking, I'm of the mindset that you should tie it all in with the rest of the carpet set, but each to their own. So let us know what you want to do. But yeah, it's a pre-sewn cover. If I turn this one over, obviously the spare wheel sits in, two-piece element to it, sewn together for it. And then you get this vinyl material here, retainer, which goes around. There's a, let's see if you can see it there. You can just about see it, perfect. You get this kind of bracket that goes around it. We do not, as standard, supply that bracket. So obviously most people reuse their old ones, but if you do need us to source one for you, just let us know. But that's effectively the spare wheel cover there. Right, I think that's covered it. Please do, if I've missed anything, I do these videos off the top of my head, so if you've got any further questions, do let me know either in the comments field or ideally just contact me directly via our website or email. Thanks for tuning in. Please be sure to check out the videos at the end of this one, as they will have links to other related MGA flooring videos, and of course check out the one that I'm going to do for the boot trunk area of the car. So anyone that's doing a kind of complete restoration, they'll know exactly what they want in the different options. Thanks for tuning in. Please remember to like, subscribe and share with other classic car enthusiasts, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.